This is a Golden Age comic book, Forbidden Worlds number 19. They got some of their famous funny ads in the inside cover. Pirate and the Voodoo Queen. This is funny. The writer claims this is a true story I actually took part in. Yeah, right. This guy shows up at his friend's house. Says he had a dream. As part of the dream, I heard the picture. He had a dream. He was a pirate. And he saw this white voodoo princess on some island. Fell in love with her. Decides he wants her for himself. So they go and invade and take the girl from the natives. And the witch doctor puts some kind of spell on him. And these zombies start coming after the guys. They come swimming after the ship, but they get away. Then he's with his the voodoo princess he kidnaps. And then she's glad here. I'm glad you took me away from the tribe I hated. Then the witch doctor guy puts a spell on them again. This big wave comes, drowns both of them, destroys the ship. And he says he woke up. That's the end of the dream. And this guy says, you must have got the idea in your head from this woman who is dancing at a club called Club Zombie. And he's like, I never heard about that before, but she looks just like the girl from the dream. So they go to the nightclub. It looks just like her. She recognizes him too. And this other guy's here. A witch doctor says, yeah, that's he's thinking to himself, that's the reincarnation of the voodoo queen. I must take her back to the tribe. So they're backstage here, making out and shit. Then the voodoo guy, priest, calls the god of the voodoo cult to come help him. He pops up here. He's coming to take the queen back, bursts through the door. This is his friend here, the other guy's friend, watching, see what's going on. The guy starts fighting the voodoo god, but it doesn't work. The voodoo god grabs the queen. And this guy knocks the priest over the head. The god vanishes. It's supposed to be made out of ectoplasm or some shit. The guy's guiding it with his brain, so that's why it dissolves when he hits him on the head. And they decide to go back to the place where they originally got the queen from, to I guess I forget what the hell. Anyway, this voodoo priest guy does some kind of spell. He sees the boat and the soup here. He calls on the voodoo thing spirits to take form. So they're on the ship, and all these gods and zombies show up again. Grab the queen here. It looks like certain doom. Then the ghost ship shows up. All his fellow pirate ghosts show up, and they defeat the bad guys, the zombies. So they decide to stay on the boat, and I guess they're supposed to live happily ever after, sailing off into the sunset. Kind of corny. Skeleton Hand. It's an ad for another comic book there, and a bubblegum ad here. And they got a written story, and another one's called The Avenger. A lot of these stories in these Golden Age horror comic books always have to do with white man invading native territory. Like this guy's going to hunt lions. And this guy shows up and says, the lion is sacred. It's got the spirit of the great chief inside of it. It's supposed to be protecting the village. They don't want them killing the lion. So the arrogant American white guy is like, fuck you. I paid for the hunt. I'm going to kill it. Or some words to that effect. And the black porters leave them because they're not going to go against the natives. So they're all alone out in the jungle going after the lion here. Then they have a fire going. Some evil spirit comes out and warns them not to kill the lion. There's going to be a curse on them. They don't believe it. They think it's just some kind of trick from the natives. Then the lion jumps out. Then the white guy shoots it, kills the lion. And they're gonna head back to the States. He has it stuffed in his house. Then later that night, a spirit comes into the house, brings the lion back to life with the spirit in it. These two people here, Aurora, the daughter, and her boyfriend, the ones that are the man who killed the lion. They come back. They find the lion about to kill him. He starts shooting it, but it doesn't do any good. So he gets mauled and killed by the lion. Then the spirit leaves, saying the vengeance has been done. He doesn't have to do anything else. And they burn the lion just to be on the safe side of the body. That's the end of that story. Another Adventures to the Unknown ad. And an ad for more bullshit you can buy in the back of a comic book. Letters from the editor. This is funny. They'll brag about how great these stories are. Like they're so cutting edge. Like, yeah, give me a break. They're not that great. The Stolen Spirit. They claim this one's so great too. A letter from the editor. It's so original. This story. This guy's a mugger. He attacks this guy. Kills him by mistake. Didn't really mean to kill him. Decides to grab his wallet and run off. He finds his ID. He decides to take the guy's identity. The guy had $10,000 in his wallet. I don't know why anybody would be walking down the street at night with $10,000 in their wallet unless they're an idiot. But anyway, he gets a new suit, some jewelry, train trip, spending the guy's money. Then sees the face of the dead guy in the mirror, in the window of the train. So he pulls the shade down. The ghost comes through. And he starts chasing him through the train. The spirit of the guy he killed. He sees it again here. So he tells him, I'm going to bestow the gift. Since you stole my identities and identification, I'm going to turn you into me. So he then the spirit leaves. He looks in the mirror. He starts really becoming Crane. Harry Crane's the guy whose wallet he stole. They changed identities. Like the spirit becomes him. He becomes the dead guy. The spirit follows him around constantly, so it's like a living hell. He can't even go on a date without the spirit there with him. Goes out to him at dinner. Can't be alone for 5 minutes. And then he runs out of money here. So they start going gambling, winning a bunch of money. Then these mafia guys show up because they want to kill him. It turns out the guy that he murdered was going back to pay these mobsters $10,000 that he owed them. But since he was murdered, he never paid back the $10,000, so they're coming back to kill him, which the mugger took his identity, so now he's going to be the one who gets murdered. So here he gets shot. Blam. Then it says, with your death, I have my identity back again, Biff. I can go to my rest at last while your pitiful soul wanders the realm of limbo forever. I don't know why limbo. Why not hell? Anyway, the Catholic Church got rid of limbo. It doesn't exist anymore. In this last story, I think Vampire Castle. This is kind of cool. I like the artwork. Little vampire. This guy and his daughter moved to some small village, set up shop. She's got some boyfriend she's in love with, but there's this evil castle in town that everybody's afraid of. And this creepy baron comes down. He never comes to town. And he tells this guy he wants his daughter in marriage, and he's afraid to say no because he's an evil man. So he promises the guy his daughter. And she's like, I can't marry him. He's killed all of his wives. There's stories going around town that he's murdered all of his wives. So here's the first wife. Flashbacks. Gets killed by a vampire. The guy turns into a vampire. That's a cool picture right there. And another one, they find dead floating in the moat. Another wife, they find dead at the bottom of a mountain, drained of blood. So he's like, well, maybe it's just superstition. But anyway, the guy shows up to pick up his daughter. The page is bent here. The boyfriend shows up and sees what's happening, so he starts chasing after his girlfriend. Here, then the horses start flying up the ground, which is funny. This guy, apparently he's a vampire, but he can come out in the daylight because he's out in the middle of the day. He's taking her to the castle here. He sends one of his vampire buddies to go capture her. Big bat creature grabs her, locks her up. Then the ghosts of the women that he's murdered, wives that he's murdered, come along and give her the secret of how to kill the Baron, the vampire. And the boyfriend shows up, swings over the moat of the castle here. There's some wild dogs that come and attack him. He has to kill one dog so the other dogs will eat it to get him off his trail. There's the girl again. He shows up. He punches the vampire. They grab him. They lock him up. They're going to make him watch his girlfriend get murdered by the vampire. But then she tells him, meanwhile here, that the secret, that if he's pierced through the heart with silver, it will kill him. I thought that was werewolves, but anyway. So he finds a bow and arrow. I don't know why they would leave a bow and arrow in the cell for the prisoners. He shoots the chandelier made out of silver. It falls down and kills the vampire. Then all of his aides die also. They disintegrate. Which is kind of stupid, because why would a vampire who can be killed by silver keep silver around his house? I don't know. It doesn't make much sense. Then they wander off happily ever after. Then they have an ad for a giant beach ball in the back. And draw the first day. No lessons, no talent. And the back cover, another one of those. They seem to be obsessed with placing ads for young boys to work out to become Schwarzenegger. That's the end of it. Forbidden Worlds number 19.